you will find Lake Pickle on the Bear Grease podcast feed with a new show we're doing called Backwoods University. Talk about the podcast, what it's going to be like.
Backwoods University, very wildlife biology based.
How far north will you allow yourself to go? You'll do Yankee stuff.
Oh, 100%.
You know, Clay will say stuff like, well, you know, people in the South are very interested in music. It's like, do you know what I mean? People in the South, you know, they love their families. You know, it's like every day he talks to me, he tells you something. I'm like, oh, we wouldn't know about that.
How niche.
This is the MeatEater podcast coming at you shirtless, severely bug-bitten, and in my case, underwearless.
We hunt the MeatEater podcast.
You can't predict anything.
The MeatEater podcast is brought to you by First Light. Whether you're checking trail cams, hanging deer stands, or scouting for elk, First Light has performance apparel to support every hunter in every environment. Check it out at firstlight.com. FIRSTLITE.com. Welcome, everybody. Joined today by two super special guests. We got three. I'm throwing Maggie in.
Am I a super special guest?
Oh. It's not like Seth.
VIP.
He's just like, it's not like Seth.
We're just regulars.
Seth's just normal.
They're here again.
Seth's just hanging out. No one knows what he's doing.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
Joined today by three very special guests. Lake Pickle, the most memorable name in America. I was at the, I'm going to get to the R2 guests, but when I was at this big commencement or like a graduation ceremony last weekend,
Yeah.
you know, I could tell you why.
Congrats, Doctor.
Dr. Rinella.
Go ahead and tell
Anyways.
us why.
And they're like giving everybody's name, you know?
Is there a doctor in the house?
Mm-hmm. They're getting everybody's name, and a guy comes up who had, I believe, changed his last name to Extravaganza. I was expecting like a professional wrestler to come across the stage. You know, it was just a regular dude.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, oh, wow, a wrestler's here.
Is that speech, was that filmed?
Yeah.
Is it somewhere? I tried looking for it.
Kylie has it.
I was turkey hunting, so I couldn't make it. But
Kylie has it.
It's somewhere. I think it's going to be put up as a social post or a YouTube clip.
yeah, I
want
want to see it.
It's called There Is No Plan B.
I like that. I think I've heard that before from you.
Lake Pickle, the most memorable name in America. The hardest name in America, which is Caitlin Lospinoso, which one can see why she just calls herself Old Trapper Kate.
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? Lospinoso?
Lospinoso.
Lospinoso.
Close enough.
Her handle on one of my like a thing I love looking in on is her handle on Instagram is Old Trapper Kate. It's all about trapping.
Mm-hmm.
And other kind of outdoors adventures, which I appreciate. So she's here today. Maggie Hudlow's here today, journalist extraordinaire. What are you working on right now? That's the most exciting thing.
Most exciting thing. We've been having dog week, so I've been writing dog stuff, which is fun because I love my dogs, and I just got into training a bird dog. So I've got a 1.5-year-old pup, Bill.
What kind is it?
He's a lab German wirehair pointer mix.
Is that intentional, or did you get it like at a pound?
Yeah, so I really like mutts. We'll talk about this later. I just wrote an article about why maybe you should consider a mutt to be your next hunting dog.
Mm-hmm.
And we got sick of wading through the muck and falling through the ice to go after our ducks, and we're like, all right, we can get one more dog. We started looking, and somebody had wirehair lab pups, and we were like, well, shit, I guess we're getting a dog.
That's interesting, man.
Yeah, the guy, he had a bunch of bird dogs. He had labs and wire hairs, and he was like, yeah, I was always interested to see what they would end up like mixed. And he's a good dog. He's huge. He's a big boy. He's kind of goofy. Lake saw him.
Tell him what he did. Yeah, the first day I was here. That was the funniest thing I've seen all week.
Lake saw him run full speed into a glass door the other day.
Yeah, but I've done that.
Me too.
Don't hold that
still
against
be a
the
good
dog.
hunting dog.
He's still a good dog. He's a little disgruntled. The glass in our house isn't that clean, I guess.
That dog was so embarrassed.
Shame.
Man, I've been meaning to spend a long time kind of explaining my buddy Doug Duran's new lab, but it's just too.
Mark?
You know about this dog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
him?
like, Mark? Do you not like
Listen,
Mark?
man, I think that Doug can't see it. Doug can't see it, but I think that dog got hit on the head. I have never seen a dog that's so not aware of how dogs are supposed to be. Like any normal,
Oh God.
like I've been around 50 years old, man. I've been looking at dogs my whole life.
Yeah.
We used to have all kinds of dogs when I was a kid. This dog, there's like certain just things in the dog playbook, right? Like if you're driving all around out in the woods and a dog is in like a Can-Am, you're driving all around and you get to an interesting spot. Everybody jumps out. Kids are like catching crappies, whatever. He's like, he doesn't get out. Do you know what I mean? Like any dog in the world would be like, well, dude, I'm going to get out
Yeah.
and see what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
He goes into a house. He doesn't go check what's going on around.
Interesting.
You know?
That might
He
be a
just-
good thing.
He just kind of
Doug-
chills out.
Yeah, and Doug can't. Doug's like if you said to someone, if someone had a baby and you said, man, I don't think the baby's not right. They're not going to take that well. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm
He's
saying?
got love goggles.
He does.
Doug's feelings are getting hurt listening to this
So
show.
if he's like, if the thing's sitting in the side by side, and he's like, "Come on,"
You got to
Does it-
pull. And
does it get out?
Doug won't pull it out. I'll pull it out. I'll grab. I can't handle it.
He's
I'll go.
just like,
I
"You go
had
if
a
you
couple
want
times
to."
grabbed by the collar and pulled it out. Doug will come in the house. So there'll be a house full of people. Doug will pull up. Doug will come in the house. He leaves the door open, and 20 minutes later, a dog's sitting in there. It's like amazing. It's one of the few dogs you could put it and just it'll be there when you come back.
that'd be
Well, it's
that'd be
kind of
like-
handy in some situations.
that'd be like one of those dogs you see in Montana. It's just on the flatbed,
Yeah.
No.
and you like go into a bar or whatever, and like the dog's just
Stays.
out on the flatbed.
No,
This is a different thing.
Different than
this is
that.
different.
Mm,
It's
That's
just
like-
got a
that's
different
like
vibe.
obedience.
I know.
Mm.
This
Yeah.
is not
Not
No.
obedience.
Yeah.
because I forgot to mention. Doug is imploring the dog to come out.
Oh. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, that's different.
maybe it just
Yeah.
likes comfort.
Maybe he ran
Eh.
into a
Is
glass.
lazy?
He's gonna be
window
pissed
really
that I'm
hard.
saying this, man, because like if you disagree with Doug on something like CWD or something, he's gonna write you a mean ass email. So I can only imagine what he's thinking
Yeah.
right now. Me hacking on his dog.
You insult
Mark.
a man's dog. Them's
it's
fighting
terrible.
words.
It's
You know,
terrible.
my old dog shooter made me believe in reincarnation because, for one, I'm pretty sure this dog smoked way too many Marlboro Reds in his past life. He's got a real smoker's hack, and the vets are like, nothing's wrong with him. He also has favorite songs. He loves the band Cripple Creek.
Oh, really?
He just perks right up to that and just yowls.
It's amazing.
You should introduce him to this dog, Mark.
So my theory from what I've heard on Mark is maybe Mark was like a big fat dude that just liked to ride
Oh.
around in Can-Ams and like
Could be.
drink a beer and just sit in the truck.
Yeah.
You know, you never know what a dog's past life
No,
was.
you might get a nice email from Doug because he's gonna. I never talked to him about reincarnation, but this is gonna speak to Doug. This is gonna speak to Doug. Lake, I forgot to mention. Besides having a very memorable name, Lake is an avid outdoorsman. Used to be tangled up in the old days with Will Primos, which is super cool.
Yeah, I was for about a decade.
God,
Yeah.
man,
And
I love that guy.
Oh man,
He's great.
he was like, the way I explain it to folks, like when I grew up in my house, you watched the Andy Griffith Show and Primos VHS tapes. That's just
Mhm.
what you watched. Like he was, especially like living in Mississippi,
Yeah,
and you've been around Will. Like if he heard me talking about him like this, he would dismiss it because he's a pretty down to earth dude. But yeah, and it's funny you talking about my name. Like part of the reason I ended up getting tangled up with Will, just a little stuff that happened before, but I saw Brad Ferris at a local sporting show at home, and I'd never met him in person, but I'd been emailing him trying to get a job. And
he remembered your name.
one thing I've always had going for me, someone might forget everything else about me, but they remember the name.
Yeah.
So I go up to him, I said, "Hey, I'm Lake Pickle. You're that kid that's been emailing me about video." And I was like, "Yeah." And I didn't know it at the time, but like the week before, they had some guys leave the video department.
Huh.
So 2 days later, my phone rings and it's Brad, and he's like, "Hey man, would you consider taking a semester off school? Because I got to film an elk hunt in like 2 weeks." I was like, "Yep, I'm going to do that." And
Dropped out of school.
so
Good.
funny thing is, yeah, I went to the Primos office. I'd never met Will in person. And they were interviewing me, and Will comes in and he says, "I'm not going to hire you if you don't promise me that you'll finish your education."
Oh.
So, yeah, I was in school for wildlife science and that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's how it all started. But it all hinged on Brad being like, "Oh, yeah, you're the kid," because my name's so odd. He remembered it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So you did wildlife.
Mhm.
Still in the wildlife business.
Yep.
June 9th.
You will find Lake Pickle on the Bear Grease podcast feed with a new show we're doing called Backwoods University. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We talked about Old Trapper Kate. We're going to jump ahead to the news. Then we're going to come back around. Corinne's got us all assed up. Oh. Are we returning? Sorry.
No. I didn't get to talk to you about this. I wondered if we would change the order of things this time, but
No.
maybe that's all. Oh,
No.
okay. So that part wasn't asked. All right.
No, because I don't have to remember. No. I
Hard
could see
no.
just getting rid of. I could see just not having any news ever.
That's possible. We
But then
can
how
do
would I
that
find
too.
out about the news?
Brody? Brody and the website.
We should have I wish we could do one of those polls. Like, should we not have any news and then do a vote?
Oh,
We could make something like
Yeah.
that happen.
Can
A
you?
little Insta poll.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, we
Can you do
can
that?
We could do it on a newsletter. We could do it on Instagram.
It'd be like, should the MeatEater podcast have or not have
Mhm.
listener feedback and news?
Yeah.
Huh.
I think they'd be sad about not having listener feedback.
Yeah.
Because then we wouldn't have like stories and jokes that carry on for a few episodes. But what do I know? I just think we should separate it. Like news is separate from.
I don't
Team
think we can ever get
unqualified
rid of
weighing in.
news.
Well, the problem with the news program here is that we have the same news article we had before in the news. We already covered the guy that killed that's in trouble for hunting the cemetery. I have additional thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Doug might like if you got rid of the news. Then he won't have
He
to
wouldn't
write
have
in.
to get mad
Yeah,
about
he
it.
wouldn't write in.
Unless you start dissing his dog.
But we just have to have the main interview be about his dog.
But then
Instead of the
we
news,
wouldn't-
it's updates about Doug's dog.
we wouldn't touch on CWD as much as we do.
I know it saved me
So,
a lot of
what a
Doug's
shame.
ire, but then how would we goof on
He'd
his
be sad
dog
about
unless we
the-
like focused? We had a dog psychologist in to goof on Doug's dog.
We should get dog psychologist in.
So the guy,
That'd be fun.
there's some emerging details. Are you going to follow this? Because I'm just interested in this turkey deal.
Yeah.
What I had explained before is like I feel it's between the guy and the people that are dead in the cemetery. Largely.
They don't have much to say.
If I was buried in a cemetery and I knew someone was turkey hunting the cemetery, I would be glad.
Yeah.
But then I learned that while he was hunting there were visitors in the cemetery,
Ooh, that's rough.
which tips, right? Like at a
Yeah,
point,
that's-
you have
yeah.
to, like, you gotta, when you're sitting there at night being like, man, I really want to hunt the cemetery. And you think to yourself, with the people in there, with the souls in there,
Uh-huh.
how would they feel about it? And that's kind of regional. And then there's
Yep.
how would the people
How the mourners.
visiting those people?
What would the
feel about
mourners
it?
think?
Because if I was visiting a cemetery and I see a guy hunting turkeys, I'm going to be jealous. And what do jealous people do? They lash out.
Yeah.
That's true.
And they don't lash out about being jealous. They think of another thing. And then they're going to lash out about public safety. But the biggest question I have is, was he bushwhacking them? Because he got dropped off by a late model black full-sized pickup. So did he get dropped off to call or did he get dropped off to bushwhack? And did he use
Lean towards
tombstones
bushwhacking.
like how you might use round bales
Just
to
sneak up on
on
them.
something?
You almost can't be mad about it at
Also,
that point.
I want to know the nature of the visitors. Like, was someone actively getting buried?
Yeah, was
while
this like a
dude-
fresh
Yeah.
burial or was this like a year
Those
anniversary
are
thing?
good
Were they turkey scouting? Maybe they were turkey scouting.
Maybe.
Oh gosh.
It happened on Mother's Day.
Oh.
Ooh.
Was this like a?
no?
Yeah,
It's New
that's-
Hampshire.
Is this like a private cemetery?
Doesn't say, but it says you're not allowed to hunt cemeteries.
Hmm.
No.
So I guess it won't matter.
Except for the ones
Just
on
can't hunt.
public, I'm assuming.
Right.
Those like
I
old
recently
abandoned
cut
1800
through a cemetery and
cemeteries.
jumped a fence to get down to a creek.
Cool.
I used to stand next to a turkey or stand next to a cemetery and listen for turkeys all the time.
Mm-hmm. There
See?
you go.
Well, Lake was
Yeah.
saying if you see an old church or a cemetery, there's a turkey
Mhm.
around.
That's a rule
Does
of
it
thumb at
have
home.
to be like abandoned?
No,
Or
like
no?
I mean, it
Just
is a rule
anything?
of thumb that I'm telling you we live and die by. Like if it's an old church or a cemetery, there is a
Interesting.
turkey around there.
Mm.
I've never seen it not be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see that, man.
Maybe
I'm
it's the
gonna start thinking
abundance of
about
bug
that.
life.
The cemetery I want to get buried in, I think that'd probably be true of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used to hunt squirrels back there, but I was pre-turkey. Like there weren't turkeys when I was growing up, but there's turkeys now. You know.
Yeah, there's a place where my grandma and grandma and grandpa got buried, and I got permission to hunt the land right behind it.
From them.
Yeah, yeah. I know they would be okay
Post-burial.
with it. Yeah, and that was the first time it happened to me. Like I pulled up to the cemetery like I was going to visit their grave, and like as I pull up, there's a turkey gobbling right behind it. I was like, I gotta see if I can get access to that.
There's a hot tip off. You start asking for permission post-mortem.
Yep. You gotta talk to him. I know, and be like, hey, I know, like, you're not feeling well.
Listen,
It's a crying shame what happened, but
Oh, I can picture dudes now just sitting there, like, trying to, like, make fake tears and stuff, just listening for gobbles, trying to be like they're mourning. This happened on, how the guy got in trouble is somehow he hits the bird, like the saying, you can't stop the flop, but he, desirous to stop the flop, tackles it. And thereby gets himself on camera. People claim he's wrestling it, but it would have been more accurate if journalists had explained that he was trying to stop the flop, which you can't do. You can't.
Was it like a bad shot and it was kind of getting away a bit, or
I think he was trying to.
it was just like the classic sprint out to it, and
my. I don't know. My guess is it was raising a ruckus as they do, and he was trying to stop the flop, and people think he was trying to wrestle it
oh,
because there's like visitors. He already shot.
he's trying to be
Yeah.
incognito
Mhm.
by
Yeah.
launching on the turkey.
and when they go to flopping, it's a racket.
It's quite loud. Not as loud as the shotgun blast.
Was he on with
but,
a shotgun? Do we know?
I
You know what?
assume. This doesn't seem like an archery kind of deal, but I could be wrong.
Anyone with information on this incident, this is serious. Please contact New Hampshire's Fish and Game Department.
This is also
You can make an anonymous tip.
and us?
just another one of those things where, like, this guy chose to post this video.
What?
Oh.
what
That's
I
always interesting,
He
understand-
didn't
isn't it?
choose. He didn't post
Yeah.
his own video.
He posted
what
on
I
his own
understand
account.
is that there was a hunter at the cemetery, someone who self-identifies as a hunter,
Okay.
because according to New Hampshire Game and Fish, around 10 a.m. on that Sunday, a hunter observed a male in camouflage apparel shoot a turkey in the cemetery on Clow Road. The poacher was dropped off by a late model black full-size.
So
pickup.
that guy was looking for turkeys in the cemetery.
Yeah, he was
too.
jealous.
Mhm. Jealous.
Jealousy, for
Allegedly.
I think we need to get all. If
Allegedly.
Corinne was like a good producer,
Sure. Oh.
she'd have
I
the
would have rounded up
right
all
now.
the
We'd have the
black-
hunter,
Mm.
we'd have the
shoot.
witness,
Yeah.
and we'd have the family of who was in the closest grave.
Yeah,
Mm.
we'd
The
have
descendants.
Darn,
We'd have
If
whoever
only.
was in the
Really
closest grave.
failed. I can't believe I didn't think of that.
And they'd all be here arguing about it.
We'd have the casket that he was standing over.
Here's the this guy's got an interesting problem. There's a guy that saying that for whatever reason he's a magnet for poachers to come confess to him.
Interesting.
I just think that's being alive. Like that's
just
not
what poachers
unusual.
do.
Like I confess old poaching stuff every time I'm talking to anybody.
Really?
'Cause when we were
Okay,
kids, when we were little kids, like we didn't. It wasn't it's just hard to explain.
Yeah,
These
you didn't know you
days-
just did stuff. You didn't know
These
if it was legal.
days,
or
do
not.
people go and do you get a lot of confessions?
Yes, because okay, when I started deer hunting, I wasn't old enough to hunt deer. When I killed my first deer, I wasn't old enough. My mom came and put her tag on it. It was like you would have told anybody.
Here, but
It was like there was zero. It was just like I can't even explain it.
some
It's
of
just
the
how it was.
Yeah.
some of the examples he uses though, I'm not sure that these are people just talking about stuff that they did a really long time ago. I'm just looking at one of the examples he cites, and it's almost like someone.
Let me make.
Feels
I want
naughty
you to
and-
hit the examples, but I want to make one more point. You know how I've been hip to that Veterans Institute? They play the interviews with the World War II veterans. The guys are in their 80s and 90s. It's the best thing on YouTube. Well, I like World's Greatest Hockey Goals in slow motion, but
I'll have to look into that.
next to the World's Greatest Hockey Goals in slow motion,
Hockey does go fast.
the American Veterans Institute has this huge series of interviews with World War II guys in their 80s and 90s. The other day I think I talked about this. I'm watching two of these guys together, and they're talking about they would just kill SS. They would line them up and shoot them. And he said, we weren't supposed to talk about it. It was a long time ago. And he's like, we were told to do that. Right? So you get a lot of like, because we grew up violating, but it wasn't like, it's so hard to explain,
You're
man.
past the
No,
statute of
you-
limitations.
yeah, like-
It's like a common ground kind of thing in the hunting community.
Well, when I was
like a
growing
lot of
up, probably
people.
the same for you. You didn't even know it was illegal. The shit, the
No,
stuff
you were like,
Or
doing.
you
sort
just
of
didn't,
aware,
you
but
didn't
you
even know of you didn't know
the rationale.
the severity or the
Yeah.
implication or anything.
Like, when-
yeah.
when I was-
Nothing serious.
When I
at that
first got
age.
Onyx, I went and looked at all the old places where I used to hunt,
All
and
the
it's
public
all
land.
it's all private. It's like I thought this was legit. Thought it was public land.
Yeah. I remember like just being young, like teens, and hunting wood ducks on the roost, and it looking like a 4th of July display by the time the wood ducks would come into that roost. And you were sort of like, it's just like, but that's what all the guys, like the old, like your mentors.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was just, you were sort
Well, yeah, because the farther you go back in the timeline of hunting,
The grayer all that gets.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
Another thing that was just another confessional. Here I am doing all these confessionals. There was another thing. Leading up to the largemouth bass opener, you would put your live well out on the end of your dock. And you would detain them
Oh no.
to then fillet them on the opener. But it was like, this isn't like you were like, shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, it was just like this is what we do.
You'd walk down the damn beach holding the largemouth by the bottom lip and throw it in the live well. And like our parent, people weren't like, don't. It's so hard to explain, man. It's so hard to explain where.
I
Then
understand.
only later did I start to put it all together.
Yeah.
And then you get like in your 20s and you start meeting people, reading. Remember reading Sand County Almanac, which like you start putting it all together and you're like, oh man, that's like not like if everybody ran around doing that with that level of like
Yeah.
passion.
Yeah. You end up with the early 1900s.
Yeah, it would have been disastrous. But it was just like none of this like no one ever said the word conservation when I was a kid.
Yep.
Well, look at the examples.
Okay.
He says poachers apparently see my BHA and MeatEater merch and think, quote, and these quotes are so specific, so you know someone told him this, quote, I'm going to tell this guy about unlicensed night hunting in a day hunting only state for game that's out of season and I don't have a tag anyway. Or, quote, let me tell you how I pulled a fast one by hunting against regulations on a military base and got away with a trespassing citation instead of any real consequences. Ha ha.
You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to get on Clay's Bear Grease podcast.
That might actually be true.
Yeah. They want to but they don't realize that they have to have redemption.
Yeah.
Like when I was 15, Clay wouldn't have had me on. He would have had to wait till I was later, had an epiphany, and we would have stopped like our casual violating.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this guy is just wondering, like, what would you all do? Would you? He tries to educate, and these were instances that had happened in the past, and he said that in case he sniffed that there was any sense of a crime being about to be committed, he would say something. But
I got another confession.
asking for advice.
Is this what this podcast is
I
turning
guess
into?
so.
Confessions.
Well,
Put
yeah,
on a
because
little board.
it's like I'm just the more I think about it, the more I'm interested in what I want to go back and interview our younger selves. So high school, okay, like just give you for instance, high school. With my late friend Eric Kern, smelt dipping. For whatever reason, like Sam would come in with the smelt during the spring smelt run. One day we're standing out there, and we weren't at a river mouth. Like you generally are hitting smelt at the river mouths, but we knew about these gravel beds that were way down on Lake Michigan, and the smelt would come up and spawn in these little gravel beds that weren't even in the stream mouth. They're like an anadromous fish, but they would sometimes spawn in the waves. And we're sitting there, and here comes a salmon chasing smelt, and Eric gets it in his dipping net. We're old enough to know that he ought to put that salmon in his waders. And he puts the salmon down the leg of his waders to hide it. And we finished our smelt dipping, had a big laugh about how slimy his pants were.
Yeah, I'm sure that felt great.
And we're old enough to drive. And there's no way I would let my kid do that. I would wring his neck. Just, I don't know. I can't explain
It's different times.
it. Yeah. Guy wants to know if it's stolen valor to buy taxidermy and decorate your cabin. Yes.
It's an easy one.
Hard stop.
Unless it's like a crazy, unless it's like a specimen.
Huh.
You're killing my
What
market,
if it's like
Steve.
a jackalope?
What's that?
What if it's like a jackalope?
That's not stolen valor.
Okay.
Taxidermy.
Yeah.
I think if you bought, if you're like a big deer hunter and you bought a big, and then you kind of got it there. And you know what it is? Do people coming in think that you got it?
True.
That's,
If someone asks, did you shoot that? What's your answer?
So a real good friend of mine, he used to tell me how comically bad his father was at hunting.
Mhm.
And the first time I went to his father's house, I walk into his living room. This is a true story. And there was several shoulder-mounted deer. And then there's a shoulder-mounted elk in there. And I was like, Jordan, you said your dad was bad at hunting. He said, oh, he didn't kill any of these. Bought all of them off eBay.
It's deeply nuanced because someday, my father's taxidermy is still in my mother's home. Someday, heaven forbid, I will take possession of my father's taxidermy and I will put it somewhere.
That's different.
Does that count? Yeah, I don't think so.
It's deeply nuanced. Or if you had something where you're like, oh yeah, Wyatt Earp shot that buck, or whatever, it'd be like a specimen. But if people come in and they go my God, this guy's gotten some tanks.
And then you don't say anything. You just let that thought linger.
Yeah. So I have a European a skull-mounted elk that I did not kill in my house. It's the first bull that I filmed Wilbur shoot. And he asked me, he said, do you want this elk skull?
That's okay.
That's awesome.
And I was like, absolutely. But everybody that comes in the house, they're like, I'm like, Will shot that elk, not me.
You need to make a plaque.
Yeah.
Right. But then you tell the true story about it, right?
But it's
Yanni has his dad's bull moose hanging in his living room.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
That's not stolen valor.
Yeah, Dirt has one of your coos deer. You gave it to him.
Yeah, but Dirt's like a special guy, man.
Yeah, I would say it's not stolen valor.
It's stolen
He was
valor.
there. He filmed it.
That's stolen valor.
I think we're talking if you go to some kind of thrift shop and they have someone's random estate sale taxidermy.
Man, I don't know if you can anymore. You
Stuck on the dirt.
You used to could legitimately go on eBay and buy taxidermy.
Oh no, you still can.
It's like
estate sales.
earlier I said yes, but I'm realizing how complicated it is. It just depends on the motive
depends,
and what
yeah.
you're trying to get away with.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be give visitors the impression, it's one thing.
All right, here's an example. If you just bought a big mansion in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
I was gonna bring
And
up
you, and
Jackson.
you went down to the shop that has all the taxidermy for sale for thousands of dollars, and you buy a big old elk head and put it in your big house that looks right at the
Yep.
Tetons.
Stolen valor.
Okay.
And
Yes.
you bought a cowboy hat.
That's stolen valor.
What about furs?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think
I'm
so.
showing
either.
my biases, but it's just different. It's different.
Yeah.
Guy has a moral bind. Well, let me give you a good example. I got a friend, very accomplished hunter. Okay. He's got a display of every male and female of all North American waterfowl that he got.
Huh.
That's awesome.
But he also has a big collection of many fur bears from around the continent.
Yep.
He will be like, that's from so and so. That's from so and so. He's got one. He goes, someone left this because they knew I have a collection, and they remain anonymous. I don't even know who gave it to me.
Wow.
So it's just different. It's like a educational display. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Where he's like, check all this stuff, but he
Yeah.
doesn't claim none of it's his stuff. But he likes to.
Yeah.
You know, he grew up trapping. He likes to have the stuff there, but it's not his first.
Because my main buyers are like the oddities market, and they just like having them as like a novelty wall hanger. They're like,
Yeah, I'm not trying to screw your business up.
like, take it easy, Steve.
Here's a guy, I haven't read this yet, but he's in a moral bind. He lives in eastern Wisconsin. Far from Doug, sounds like. Avid bow hunter. One of my close buddies owns a local tree farm and is currently planting new trees. This is a quote. He recently got a crop damage tag to take 5 deer in 45 days as the deer are eating his newly planted trees. At first, I was excited to get the bow out. However, he has sent me videos of the deer pretty much walking up to him. The chase in which bow hunting... It's not a great sentence.
Yeah.
I think he means bow hunting is about the chase.
And this ain't it.
Oh, no. It's like bad syntax, but it makes sense. The chase in which bow hunting is about is
It
gone. Like a few commas could have salvaged that
right.
sentence. I don't feel like taking 5 deer will help the problem, and it's all very likely to take a deer holding fawns. However, he puts a lot of pride into his farm, and I've even helped with planning and witnessed firsthand the hard work that goes into it. Does going forward with this pretty much give up all the ethics we believe as hunters? No, of course not. Or am I looking too... That was me editorializing. And he asked another rhetorical question. No, it's a serious question. Or am I looking too much into, and ultimately it's just simply what is protecting his crop?
I think ethics is not really the right word there at all.
No, if there's an outlet for if there's an outlet for the deer, you want it, your buddy wants it, your church wants it, and the guy's got a crop damage permit, and it's white-tailed deer, which last I checked in Wisconsin are above objective. I just don't
It's
see it
not
being
that
an
serious.
issue. Don't see it being an issue. One more. Is this the last one? Another news bit. So in Alabama, this is from Alabama, the bill ALHB 509 passed the House and is moving to the Senate. This bill, led by the captive deer industry, which this person writing in claims that folks high up in the state legislature have family ties to the captive deer industry. I can't say that's true or not. He's just saying that's true. They want to declare high fence. They wanted to declare high fence deer, so they want to make captive deer private property instead of public. Okay. Some people might be surprised that it's already this way. It depends on what state you're in. Some states, if you have captive deer, you can just do whatever you want. You hunt them year round. You do whatever you want with them. Some states, if you have high fence deer, you still got to go by deer law.
Interesting.
They want to switch it, and they want their pet deer to be livestock so they can do whatever they want. They don't want them to be wildlife. Why would they care? you could think of all kinds of reasons they'd care, because now they can hunt them whenever they want and do whatever they want and kill as many as they want, whatever. But the main thing is they're trying to get out from under regulation and inspections that would keep their captive deer, which I'm not saying, I'm sure like CWD is in Alabama. They don't want the state messing with them about the risk that their captive deer are going to spread diseases to wild herds. So they're trying to get free of that and get out of inspection services. That's what's in the back of their head. That's all.
It's tricky. It's dirty.
It is a tricky one, man. Because I'm just suspicious of captive deer, like in general, but I also get the argument that if it's in a fence and it's captive, it's like whatever.
Yeah.
But they get out of the fences.
I know.
They do frequently.
Like,
That's
but so
one
do
of the
cattle.
problems.
It strikes a little close to home because Alabama's right next to Mississippi.
Okay, what's your take on it?
I don't like
neighbors.
it.
You don't like it?
I don't like it at all.
Tell me more.
I mean, CWD, obviously a problem there. I have a problem. I mean, like I get they're in the fence, like they're not. I mean, they do get out, but I hinge on the thing. Like even without the CWD argument, it's like the wildlife belong to the people. They're a public resource. Like saying that you can put a fence around that and all of a sudden that deer and everything in there becomes your private property. I don't like that at all. And then there's just been a lot of stuff going on around home with CWD lately. That's not, I mean, it's never good, right? But there was a case that popped up along the Mississippi River in Louisiana, but going off CWD management guidelines, it would have put part of Claiborne County, Mississippi in CWD management. Well, there's a dude on our wildlife commission that was like, why would Louisiana deer make this go into CWD management? The river's right there, disregarding the fact that those deer swim the river all the time.
Yeah.
And so they had this boat and they were, and next thing you know, within like a couple months, they have a CWD case show up in Claiborne County.
You kidding me?
No, dead serious. And obviously, CWD is a very controversial topic, but
it is.
So
and seeing that and using it as like if they pass that, then they could get around some of the CWD stuff, and I could just so very easily seeing that hopping over into Mississippi because there's some high fences there too, and I just don't like it. Too close to home.
Yeah.
well, and there's a lot to learn about CWD
So
still,
much.
but we certainly know that concentrated areas of animals are
Yep.
one of the worst things that we can have. So
Yeah.
promoting that and making that easier is not helping the CWD
No.
case at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, and moving cervids has proven to be problematic, but a lot of the cervid movements are down now. An interesting casualty of the CWD is that it really put the nix on elk recovery.
Yeah.
Because as
They
they're
can't
like
relocate
relocating cervids,
Yeah.
it's ground down that you're going to take out from source populations and bring them into new places because people aren't wanting to transport cervids around.
And now we have CWD on all of our feed grounds because the elk are in feed grounds.
Yeah.
And it's getting messier by the minute.
There was the late Jim Posowitz, who was he was from Montana, and he wrote these little pamphlets that you give kids when they're like, if your kid goes through hunter safety with the state, he might wind up with these Jim Posowitz pamphlets, like I can't remember what they're called, just little like sort of things about ethics of hunting and stuff. He was a hunter. He was like a philosopher about hunting ethics, and he was always very suspicious of the captive cervid industry, and was involved when it went to a vote in Montana, and Montana rejected canned hunting on captive cervid facilities overwhelmingly. Jim Posowitz was very involved in that fight, and he had this interesting point about it, which is like, if you look at the captive deer and elk industry, there's a friction because this isn't proposing legislation. This is just like an observation of his. What gives those captive animals their value is the social value that the wild version has. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like what excites someone about growing a big buck is the social value that a big buck in its wild form has.
Yeah.
Meaning if you went and got a if you went and got a sheep and you figured out how to make a little domestic ram have like slightly bigger horns, that's not exciting to people because there's not a social value attached to wildlife that you're trying to mimic, right? You're in a way subverting the thing that has social value to build a sort of artificial version of the thing that people are excited about in the first place. So he just questioned it from a philosophical angle, you know. It'd be similar to I can think of a bunch of things that'd be similar to, but it's insulting to bring it up, so never mind.
Now I'm intrigued.
Worse than Doug's dog.
I was gonna make an analogy to what some people refer to as the oldest profession.
Oh.
10-4.
Loud and clear.
I got it. Yeah, we got it.
What some people argue is hunting. I don't know.
Oh, God.
All right. So
Wish I didn't
you're
love
Central
hunting so much.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Grew up in Central Mississippi. What was how'd you get into hunting?
Man, I mean, you're put into it early just because Central Mississippi is just kind of the common thing around there. Everybody hunts or fishes to some degree. But my dad describe my dad. He hunts a little bit and fishes a lot. It's where the name Lake came from. So my dad's an obsessed fisherman.
Oh.
And so
I would have named you Crick Pickle.
That's fair.
Dill.
That's really good.
So like we were, we bass fished a lot. Like I was telling you earlier about, my dad, it was like mandatory that me and my brother learn how to throw a bait caster. We fished a whole lot. And then deer season would come around and, the rifle opener and maybe other one weekend a year, and then opener duff season was always a big thing down there. But that was about the extent of it.
You guys would fish during hunting season.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
that you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Like fishing is the end all be all. Like when I was first getting into turkey hunting, skipping a little ahead here, but like I remember one of the first mornings turkey hunting, or like trying to hear a turkey, and there's like a little pond down below, and Dad's like, wonder if I got a buzz bait in my truck that I can tie. I mean, like that's all he's thinking about. So, turkey hunting is huge down home, and so I'd heard some buddies like at church and stuff talking about turkey hunting during the spring.
It's like the cradle of turkey hunting.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I just didn't get that early because my dad wasn't a turkey hunter. And then this is a true story. People think I'm being hyperbolic, but it's true. We were on a family like vacation thing over spring break, and we stopped at a Bass Pro Shop, and they were doing these like seminars, and there was a Primos Pro Staff guy wheeled out this TV, and I was a kid, so like, ooh, it's on the TV, and he plays a turkey hunt, and I was like, holy smokes, that looks wild. So when I'm at church on Sunday, I start like sourcing out people. I'm like, will you take me turkey hunting? Because like my dad was willing to do it, but my dad was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and thank the good Lord, I found a guy, still close friends with him to this day, a guy named Keith Polk. And Keith was
that sounds like a good turkey hunter.
Oh, man.
Keith Polk?
Keith Polk.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, Keith is, man. Yeah, I owe that guy a lot. But he talked to my parents and were like, hey, you mind if I take lake turkey hunting over Mississippi Youth Weekend? And they were like, please take lake turkey hunting. That's all the kid talks about. And so he rolls up Saturday morning of youth season, takes me turkey hunting, and we end up shooting a bird. And literally I've not stopped ever since. It's one of those.
How old were you then?
12. Yeah. I can close my eyes and still picture that turkey strutting down that ridge. It was just burned into my brain. Like I never, and I remember thinking, like, because I was only 12. I remember shooting that turkey and we're carrying him out of the woods, and I'm like, you're telling me I could have been doing this the whole other 11 years of my life?
Yeah.
I just and that led to everything else. Like I got into bow hunting and really got into turkey hunting, and it all spurred. Turkey hunting was the catalyst of all of it.
Isn't that funny that you got turned on to turkey hunting watching a Primos video, then went on to make? How many Primos videos did you work on? Probably dozens and dozens and dozens.
I mean, I was there for 9 years and some change, just south of 10 years. I don't know, man. It was it's all. what I tell people is like my whole life has been like just these series of like, how in the world did I even end up here kind of thing. But yeah, Will Primos, and I remember the first time I turkey hunted with Will was kind of funny, but I would watch Primos videos like I was watching game film, you know, trying I was like, what did he do? Because I told Will like
Play by play.
oh yeah, I told Will one time. I mean, this was years ago. I said, Will, I used to watch those videos and I would listen to a calling cadence, and then I would rewind it and listen to it over and over and over again and try to mimic it.
Get muscle memory.
Yeah. Because I mean, like I didn't know what I was doing, and then even after I got that first bird with Keith. Like there was still a whole lot of like you got to put it together for yourself kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like Will Primos was, and the whole Primos crew, man, they were like they might as well hung the moon for me.
When you're working there and you get your check, what's it say? Primos on it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
The thing I like about, I've said this before, and I said it to his face. One of the things I like Will's a very good communicator.
Yeah.
But to my awareness, I've never heard him say a negative word.
Man, he's just
like about anybody.
I'll tell you a story about Will. Like he's so like you used to say, like you hear people say there's people that want you to succeed, there's people that don't want you to succeed. Like or Will like goes over and beyond like wanting people to succeed. And I had been at Primos for 3 or 4 years and been hunting with Will a lot, so I got to know him. And he came by the office one day in the middle of the week, and I saw him for like a minute, maybe 2 minutes. He was just in and out. And that weekend, it was Saturday morning. My phone rings. It's Will, not uncommon. And I answer the phone. He's like, "Hey, I need some help over at the house. You mind coming over?" Not uncommon. I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Right up there. He's not, usually if he called me, it was like something out in his yard, but he wasn't out in his yard. I was like, huh. So I go knock on his door, and he's like just standing in casual clothes. Like, come inside, get some coffee. And at this point, I'm like, uh-oh, what did I do?
He's going to fire you. He's going to fire you like a man.
And he says, man, get some coffee and go sit in the office. And so I sit in the office with that coffee. I'm like, what in the world did I do? And like my wheels are spinning. And he comes in there and he sits down and he says, "Lake, when I came in the office this week, I could tell something was bothering you. I don't know what it was, but you and me, we're going to sit here. We're going to talk about it till we figure it out because I don't like seeing you that way."
Wow.
That's just kind of dude he is.
What was it though?
Dude, it was like a breakup or something like that, something minuscule, but it just meant the world that he cared that much, you know.
Yeah. You're married now. How long have you been married?
3 years in July.
Yeah. Kids?
No kids.
Okay.
2 dogs.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the thing about Will. There's like I've encountered a bunch of people like this. Well, I'm going to return to my commencement address I gave the other day. The no plan B address.
Yeah.
What I was talking about was like people trying to pick selecting your plan A. For now, pick a plan A and kill the plan Bs because you'll get seduced by your plan B. It'll just be easier and it'll seduce you. And I put it in terms of like cliff jumping and watching my daughter pick a real high cliff in Hawaii that she was going to jump off into the plunge pool at a waterfall. And then you could see in her mind just wishing she hadn't climbed out on that cliff, but there she is now.
Yeah.
And like most people get on the ledge and they quickly would go down and find another ledge and jump, but she just couldn't. She picked it and there she was. And now she had to cope with the selection and how intimidating it was being up there. And I was talking about there's people, when you're on your plan A ledge, there's people that want you to come off that ledge bad. And there's people that want you to do it and they want you to break your back when you hit the water.
Yep.
Do you follow me?
Oh, 100%.
And that's the sense I get from him. Another dude that has that, like, he doesn't talk about it, but he has it like to an unbelievable degree, is Joe Rogan. You know, he gets into podcasting early and encourages all of his friends to start a podcast. He opens a comedy club in Austin. You'd think that if someone wanted to open a comedy club down the road on the street, you'd be like, damn it. he's like, awesome.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like, it's different like ways of viewing the world.
Man, and that's one of the biggest things I got from Will, man. Well, like, so this podcast, it all started, like I met, like Clay came down and turkey hunted with me and Will for a few days. And then we just kind of kept going every spring and hunting other stuff. And Will and Clay became buddies. Clay and I became buddies. But when all this happened, we were working on like the first episode of Backwoods University. And it just so worked out. I was like, Will would actually be a perfect guest on this.
Mm-hmm.
So I call Will and I tell him, I don't just say, hey, I need to interview you. I tell him, hey man, I got this opportunity. This new podcast going to be on Clay's feed. And Will is like ecstatic, not to be on the interview. He's just like, man, that's so great. And like, just like cleared out. And he's pretty, like, he stays busy, that guy, but like cleared out a time for me to come and make that happen just because that's just how he is, man. He's like, how can I help push you up the hill?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the sense I got watching him.
That's how he is, man. With everybody, not just me. Like, he's just that kind of guy.
Talk about the podcast, what it's going to be like.
So, Backwoods University, very wildlife biology based, but also like Clay, we were kind of putting together a list of like topics and episodes we would do. And I was like, Clay, there's not a species of wildlife, because we're doing some episodes just kind of like an overarching view of a certain species.
Yep.
And then we're doing some that's like getting more specific and like wildlife processes or whatever. And I was like, Clay, there's not any of these that I can talk about where you can't mention the influence of humans on these animals, positive or negative.
Got it.
But the influence is usually very strong one way or the other. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great. But that's what it's kind of focusing in on.
Yeah. Nothing has escaped us.
No. It's man, I was talking to the quail biologist named James Martin, and he was talking about some of the strongholds in the Southeast.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about he's talking about a particular stronghold. I said, man, why was that? Was it a habitat thing? Was it this, that, and the other? He said, that's where the railroad stopped.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah. He's like if the railroad would have kept going, the stronghold would have been somewhere else.
Huh. We had an anthropologist on recently, and we were talking about the Pleistocene extinctions.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying there's a really good formula for places where megafauna, there's a really good formula for places where large mammals continue to exist. There's never enough people there to get them all. And he starts like rattling off cases of like refugia, where things like managed to survive. And it's like managed to survive because the human population, it couldn't support a bit. No, it was more than that. It wasn't just happen chance. It was just places that weren't going to support a large human population at a certain time.
It's astounding, man. Like there's an episode that I'm working on right now that delves into the state of Mississippi, because Mississippi is one of the last states to put in a formal game and fish agency and have established laws. And that's when Loophold made his trip down there, and he wrote a report in 1929 where he basically just goes over the status of all these game animals, and it's astounding. Especially like now. The white-tailed deer population in Mississippi now is like 1.5 million.
Okay.
Like our game agency is asking, they're imploring hunters, like, please shoot more deer. We have too many. When Loophold was there in 1929, in his report, it was estimated we had 1,200 deer in the entire state.
Oh my gosh.
You've got to be kidding. It was that bad down there? Huh.
Wow.
It's wild. And talking about like turkey hunting being the epicenter of turkey hunting culture, which I would argue that it is, which I'm biased, but one of the first, like, we established a game and fish agency in 1932. One of the first things they started working on was wild turkeys, because Loophold wrote in his report, he was like, y'all have wiped out almost all of your turkeys. He said, I'll butcher it, but it was like the upland the turkeys left in the uplands are gone. The only thing you have left are in the swamps because humans couldn't get to them.
Yep.
But it's like going through it and like how bad, and it wasn't from, a lot of it was during the Great Depression, and people weren't, they're mainly just, this is how I feed my family. But again, it's just like really trying to grasp how heavy of an influence we have. It's wild.
What are the first episodes going to be?
We've got one on bison, but bison in the eastern United States.
Oh, yeah.
Then we've got that one.
Did you talk to Ted Franklin Ballou?
I didn't. We referenced his book a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I actually talked to a guy named Jeremy French. He works for Dwayne Estes.
Got it.
The coolest part of that whole process is Jeremy took me to a property where they're doing a lot of prairie restoration,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know it. He said from the original Cumberland settlements, they digitized a bunch of because they had mapped out the buffalo trails, and so there's a place on that property. I mean, it looks like someone drove a bulldozer through it. And he said, "There's your Bison Trail.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can still see it."
Yeah.
And we walked down in there. I stood in it. It was crazy. But that was a fun episode. We're doing one on bobwhite quail, and then the one that I was just talking about. I referenced Loophold a lot, but the subject of the story is actually a woman named Fanny Cook, which again I'm biased, but I would argue she's one of the greatest conservationists to ever live because she was pretty much the first wildlife biologist in the state of Mississippi.
Okay.
And she fought to establish the Game and Fish Commission. There's not like hard evidence of it, but there's reasonable evidence that she's the one that got Loophold to come down and make the report.
Yeah.
She's a pretty incredible woman. But
Has anybody in Mississippi ever gotten a full body mossy oak tattoo or real tree tattoo?
yes, there is.
Because it's hot.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Y'all run around in that stuff all the time anyway.
Somebody, one time we were at a local sports show and like Primos used to have these logos, like they had like these little bitty individual animal logos. And this dude just runs up to the Primos booth that day. He's like, check this out. And he pulls up his sleeve and he has the Primos turkey logo on his arm.
But no full body, sleeve camo, so you can just hunt.
That'd be a good idea.
Just hunt the way
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
made you.
We should start selling temporary tattoos.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So is Backwoods University going to have like how far north will you allow yourself to go?
Oh, I'm going like
You'll do Yankee stuff.
Oh, 100%. That's like it's just been regional right now, just because that's just
Well, 'cause
where
Clay's got.
Mhm.
He's got such like. Clay will say stuff like, well, people in the South are very interested in music. It's like, do you know what I mean? People in the South, they love their families. It's like every day he talks to me, he tells you something. I'm like, oh, we wouldn't know about that.
How niche.
Music is very important in Southern culture. I'm like, yeah, I never, ever heard of Motown? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've actually while I've been up here, I've interviewed some grizzly folks. So yeah, we're not.
So you
keeping
talk
it.
to Yankees.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I'm trying to go continental wide. Yeah,
Okay, good.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're not gonna talk to foreigners, but you will talk to Yankees.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
No Canadians. Get out of here.
Draw the line there. Yeah.
And then what's the frequency you're shooting for?
Bi-weekly right now. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, man.
Yeah.
How long will an episode be?
Man, I think the first couple ones anywhere between like 30 and 40 minutes.
And you're gonna hear interviews.
Yeah, it's basically like we end up landing on it's kind of a Bear Grease format,
Yep.
just condensed. Like the quail episode has Wilbur in it, and then a guy named Dr. Mark McConnell.
Oh yeah, because he's a big quail hunter.
Man, again, I've known Will for over 10 years at this point, and when he was sharing because what I was going for is I wanted to get a scope from what happened to bobwhite quail from a biologist perspective.
Yeah.
But then Will, some of his first hunting experiences was hunting with his uncle when he was 8. And so a real sense of what the culture was like. So you get kind of a balance. You get biology, but then you get hunting culture.
The
A little
human
bit of both.
dimensions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Can I make a episode recommendation?
Please.
I think you should go. I'm dead serious.
Okay.
It'd be a lot of fun. I think you should go to Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Team up with Doug Duran. But he can't be all the way in it. But team up with Doug Duran. And go around bars in Southwest Wisconsin and interview people. Interview anyone in a bar that can tell you about what's wrong with deer management.
Oh,
That
you
would
get
be
some
interesting.
wild
It would be
answers.
I think it would be deeply entertaining and very informative.
That would be interesting.
You would get such a disparate view of the state of deer it doesn't need to be Wisconsin, but it needs to be some place where there's a lot of factors at play. Increased predation, where there's a lot of lot in the soup.
Yeah, just a lot of
A
different
lot in
thoughts.
the stew, you
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
like let's say you went to an area where you're kind of on the southern edge of wolf expansion, and you got CWD in the mix, and whatever, and do like deer biology according to dudes and bars.
See, man, you actually
Bar biology.
Bar
there you go.
biology.
That's a whole new podcast.
You're kicking me down a whole line of thought because you could do the same thing, like again, like southeast. If I went around to and was like, "Hey, man, what's going on with wild turkeys?" You would get
dude.
such
Oh,
a
yeah.
wide spectrum of
Bar
answers.
biology.
Oh man, it's the fire ants.
But I tell people
Yep.
that, and I quit drinking.
You would get such a widespread of answers, man.
The only
Oh,
bummer
God.
is I don't drink. I'd have to go in there like I'm just gonna sit in there and drink water, hoping you come in. I'll be like, Lake's in town. I'm gonna go down to the bar.
Just hang out.
I need to get interviewed for this show. Bar
Like-
biology.
Man,
That's a
Steve
good
seemed
idea.
toasted in that one. He must
Yeah.
have been just drinking straight
Oh,
vodka.
I always get. Yeah, it's so funny. People are always like, he's so high. I'm like, no, I'm not. Not high. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
That is a good idea.
It might work so good you could do more, but yeah, just like, hey man, what's like if you went in and chill, don't go on a weekend, don't go way late, don't go mega late. You want the dudes that are in there at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
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 Post dinner, pre,
Mm-hmm.
right?
The happy
Yeah.
hour crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go in,
Eight's a little
chill,
late.
and be like, hey man, I'm just trying to get everybody's perspectives.
I think you
I'd
might
love
want
to just,
the
I'm
4
trying to just get
o'clock
like,
crowd.
I don't want the agency guys, I don't want the government guys. I want to hear the guys on the ground,
Oh my god.
That
the
would
guys
be-
in the
That
field,
would be insane.
the guys in the field, meaning in the bar.
The guys that were once in the field.
Yeah. Like, what's going on, man? What's going on with turkeys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be-
Non-residents, wolves,
Blue collar
Everything.
biology.
Yeah.
residents, poachers, fishing game.
Man, this
COVID.
sounds like my average call with a landowner.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you do as a
Oh
research
yeah.
tech. But hit me with the dates and everything. Lake Pickles, Backwoods University, June
June
6th, Bear
June
Grease
6th,
podcast
yep.
feed.
Mm-hmm.
Tune in.
And video on YouTube.
Learn all kinds of stuff about wildlife.
Yeah. I'm
Starting
excited
with the
about it.
quail.
Starting with
Me and Corinne are in hot water with the quail community. I don't know if you know this.
I've
Oh.
heard.
Okay.
I've heard.
Why is that?
The quail community should listen to your 2 episodes.
Because we did a thing and we had a guy on that was a guy that knows what's wrong with quail.
Mhm.
And there's it's a rich stew.
I talked to the biologist about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm aware.
Yeah.
All the people wrote in from their bar stools
Yes.
to let us know. what
We
they
had a
thought.
guy.
Mhm.
There's an alarming decline in bobwhite quail numbers, which has been going on for a long time across an enormous geographic area.
Mhm.
We had a person on talking about his feelings about what's happening to quail in a relatively isolated geographic area, and has a proposed solution that in some people's minds does not adequately address the root cause, and to hear him out is bad. Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It pretty much sums it up. Yeah. I did learn. You want the first noted declines that they can find in the North America. You know when it was?
You tell me where?
No, when the first notable declines of bobwhite quail
Bar room declines or like declines?
from the biologists. Like
What's the question again?
when were the first noted
The
declines?
first like
Which
statistically
is like
significant
yeah,
decline.
statistic-
Yeah.
Yeah,
1920.
1890.
Wow.
Mm.
Industrial
It's pretty
revolution.
close, really.
But yeah, most people. Now, if you want to go back to the barroom side, it's like everyone normally says 1966, but that's
Oh.
they started doing brood surveys in the 1960s, so that's why they say that.
Mm.
Okay.
So where does the data come from?
I don't know. I'd have to go back
Yeah.
and listen to that interview
Bar
again.
stools.
Well, you just learned this the other day.
Yeah, yeah.
Barstool biology.
And they
Hope
had
we don't get sued by Barstool Sports. No, it's bar
Bar
biology.
biology. Yeah,
biology.
you gotta keep
Gotta leave
bar
off the
biology.
stool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no stools.
He's a kind of an anti-hunter.
Is he?
Yeah, I've always wanted to have him on. Dave Portnoy.
Oh, I mean, know who he is. I didn't
Yeah.
know he's anti-hunter. What
Yeah.
about like Barstool Outdoors and all that?
Well, Portnoy is kind of, I guess he like, I think he's kind of like waffles on the edge of Humane Society kind of stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd like to have him on if you're listening. Probably not.
It'd be weird if he was.
He likes
Never know.
Just
We know
sitting there
that.
stewing
I know.
like Doug.
Yeah, we'll get like if Dave comes on, if you come on, I'll buy you. I'll take you around. And you can get
We
all
got
kinds of
common
pizza.
ground in pizza.
Yeah, I'll take
Yes.
you.
Yeah, he probably hasn't done pizza reviews in Bozeman.
No, you can do like a whole dude. Come on,
You know who loves
Yeah.
pizza? People in
There
the
we go.
South.
do they?
Southern folks, yeah.
They don't eat pizza down there.
I don't know about Yankees, but the South, yeah, they love it.
You know what you guys are on to is boiling them peanuts.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I didn't even know that was unique to
Peanut
us
boil.
until there was someone from out of town that was like boiled
Oh, the
peanuts.
Asians
I was like,
do that.
yeah.
I had no
Yeah,
idea.
never
I was
heard
People
about
do
that.
I remember going to South Carolina and the guy I was with pulled over and get a hot, sopping wet, steamy bag of peanuts.
Yeah.
They're so good.
There was
I was like, dude, that's
Refreshing.
good, man.
so there was a fella used to he had a setup and you had to drive right past him if you're going to the local sporting goods store. He had his old pickup truck. He'd have him a little pop-up tent out there and he'd be boiling peanuts with
Wow.
jalapenos in them.
Oh,
And you'd pull up to him, you roll down the window, and he'd walk up to you and he'd say, "You want a big fat bag or a little fat bag?"
Did he wear a trench coat?
Oh no, he had overalls on. Yeah.
all right, old Trapper Kate.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, well, I just like I said, I just wanted to talk to you because you like trapping.
Yep. Mhm.
But first, tell me what do you do at Kansas State?
Yeah, so I'm a research technician. So doing out in the field, doing the down and dirty work for all the research projects, and started on an elk survey when I first got into town. Moved over to flying squirrels.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a demotion?
It depends who you ask, I think.
Yeah.
It was cool. I mean, flying squirrels are cool.
Yeah, tell me
But,
something about flying squirrels. I don't really know much about them.
Few people do.
Yeah.
But they love suet cakes.
Mhm.
So that's how we would bait them in for the cameras.
Got it.
Peanut butter suet cakes.
So they'll eat meat.
Well, I guess that's an interesting.
Well, no,
question.
in
They're
fact,
probably
I know they do because they'll
opportunistic
turn
omnivores
out.
like
They'll get on to martin sets.
Oh yeah,
So they like meat. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think all squirrels are kind of opportunistic omnivores in that way.
Mhm.
But yeah, suet cakes. And we would do camera traps to try to survey them during the summer, and then sort of a nest box kind of setup to get colonies in the winter, and that's when you go in and tag them because they're all holed up together
Oh,
in these
really?
little nest boxes, and so yeah, you just kind of sneak up to the box, cover the entrance,
And how many are in
and
there?
oh gosh, there could be like 5 or 6, I think.
Oh, that's got to be cute.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they are
Yeah.
adorable. Those big old eyes. But yeah, and then I got moved over to the turkey project in September of 23. So I've been doing that since then.
And what's that looking at?
Oh gosh, everything. So it's statewide, and we're looking at resource selection, just kind of general landscape scale. Where are they going? What are they like?
Mhm.
What does it look like they're preferentially kind of selecting for? Roost tree selection.
Oh,
Yeah, which is actually pretty interesting seeing the difference between like the western side of the state, just kind of across that longitudinal gradient.
you mean in what types of trees they want
Yeah.
to be in?
The height of the tree, the diameter of the tree, the species, like everything kind of there. So we're doing
In that area, how apt is a turkey to use the same tree 2 nights in a row?
oh gosh. It depends on the region.
Mm-hmm.
Because the farther west you go, the fewer their options are for like a suitable size and just anything that's like that can reasonably hold.
Yeah.
So they have more roost fidelity in the west versus the east.
I could that's like just observationally. That's
Yeah.
been my finding. Where I mean, it's kind of obvious, but places where there's not any trees.
Yep.
I remember down in Sonora, Mexico, where there's just the only possible roost tree is a sycamore grove
Yep.
in a canyon bottom.
Yep.
So like, no kidding.
Yeah.
Like, because within 10 miles, it's just the sycamore grove.
Yep.
And so they're like a magnet. But
Mm-hmm.
we hunted in Colorado this year and got to kind of watch different groups.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they would be 800 yards, 900 yards, these different groups
Yep.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like no sense of going back to where they came from.
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
tons of ponderosas.
They have so many, so many options. Yeah. So that is kind of what we're seeing there.
They
what
drift
I've noticed.
around.
Yeah, when they have like when you're in like the bigger kind of woodlots or bigger creek bottoms, river bottoms in the east, they'll kind of move around a little bit on a rotation, or just kind of they'll bust off into like different groups within one flock and kind of end up on different roosts each night.
Do you guys go find out what killed them when they die?
Oh, that's impossible.
Oh, it is?
They get scavenged so hard, so fast.
Huh.
It's really hard to tell like what exactly got them.
That's a tough one.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Same with the nests. Like they get scavenged so fast that trying to pinpoint exactly why a nest failed, or if it was actually predated, or if it was just abandoned and then scavenged afterwards, like unless you're literally sitting there like 24/7 watching that nest, it's almost impossible to tell. You can kind of tell like what ate the egg, like if the egg was eaten, like if you just find like eggshell, you can kind of tell what ate it.
Okay.
But whether or not it was like the hen abandoned it first and then something else found it
Yeah, I got it.
afterward,
Like she got killed and therefore...
She got killed, or we've noticed that sometimes they just walk away.
Because what would cause them to do that?
We're not sure.
They'll ditch it.
They'll just ditch it. Yeah.
But you feel that the
They'll
eggs
lay
are
like
viable.
a couple eggs and then just ditch it. Yeah.
Too stressful or who knows?
So yeah, who knows?
Huh.
Yeah. It's interesting. But yeah.
I didn't realize that the forensics is tough on turkeys.
It is so tough. I mean, they're such a nice little snack for just about
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
that, if they're out there longer than 24 hours before you get there, it's the odds of something finding the body.
Yeah, because you show up and some possum is sitting there, that doesn't tell you what happened
Yeah,
to
you don't.
kill it.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
exactly. Yeah, so that's why like a lot of studies, people are like wanting to put cameras on the nests, but just like having that camera there and the smell of the camera and stuff is that increases the risk of predation, because a lot of predators will actually key in on that little bit of human scent.
Mhm.
Or like they'll key in on the scent of like another predator in that like one specific spot, and they like actually learn like, okay, there's something there. And so you're increasing the risk of predation on this
Yep.
nest by putting a camera there. But that's really the only way to know exactly what happened. So we're kind of stuck in a dead zone there
Yeah,
of
I can picture that.
not really being able to exactly say what happened.
I've talked to guys that work on collaring studies
Mm-hmm.
where they're collaring big game animals with big visible collars
Yep.
that are probably hard to get used to.
Yeah.
And they factor it in and it's an open question.
Mm-hmm.
But once you do that, how accurate is the mortality study?
Yeah.
Because when something's chasing or whatever, or they
Yeah.
recognize like something's wrong with that
Something's
thing.
different.
Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's got like,
Yeah.
however they read that collar.
Yep. Yeah. So we have on the hens that we're tagging, we have backpack transmitters,
Mm-hmm.
and they're slick and they're black. Like they're not obvious, but you have to be careful about like how it affects the movement of that hen. Like you have to make sure she has full extension of her wings.
Okay.
Like it's not, you only put them on hens that are hefty enough. Like it can't be over a certain % of their body weight.
Okay.
Otherwise, like it's going to impact their ability to get up in a roost, and it's just going to wear on them, like walking around with that weight. But we also ditch all the data from anything that dies within 2 weeks of capture.
Oh.
So that like if it's a mortality that could be directly related to either
I
capture
gotcha.
stress or like something to do with the transmitter, like
Yeah,
just not
that kind of
adjusting well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
starts to address what I'm getting at. That
Yeah.
you could just never get used to it.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
it.
So that's typical with any kind of collaring, any kind of tagging study. Is like if you have a mortality within a certain window of time after the capture, you just omit it from the data because
Yeah.
it's you just write it off as a capture related
Like
mortality.
you freaked it out too bad or
Yeah,
whatever.
they can get like capture myopathy, just like their muscles just melt basically
Oh, really?
from the stress.
Oh.
Yeah, and they just kind of can't move anymore and just
You know what I'm remembering right now, and I meant to put it on Instagram, but I totally forgot about it till you just said it to me.
Mhm.
Is a guy wrote us in, and he had been out hunting and found a
Mhm.
turkey nest
yeah.
and put a camera on it. And man, do you remember? Has anybody else seen this video?
Oh, I don't think I have.
I don't know what it was. It's like 12 hours later, there's a coyote standing there eating all those eggs.
Yep. Yep.
Right away.
Yeah. Yeah. And so part of this study is a wide scale camera survey for predators. And this is like not related to the turkey location. So we're just based on the capture locations, we're doing like a broad kind of random placement of cameras around the capture sites just to kind of see what the predator communities are in those
See
areas.
who's hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll try to kind of see if there's a correlation between what the predator communities look like and what happened to those like what kind of patterns we saw in the turkeys in those areas. But I noticed going through, I mean, we have 600 plus camera sites per survey season, and we're on our third now. So there's, I mean, over 500,000 photos at this point. And I noticed going through those photos that immediately after the cameras would be deployed, like if there was going to be a bobcat on that camera, it was usually like that night.
Like, what is that?
They just smell.
Why is it not repelling them?
Cats especially are so curious. Like coyotes are a little more wary.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually a big thing with trapping, like cat trapping versus coyote trapping. You can be really flashy with cats, and they'll come in because they're more prone to just investigate stuff.
Like, what's going on here?
They have a lot more confidence.
Yeah.
So when they like smell that human scent in a random area that they don't normally smell it, like they come right
Like they got
into
some
it.
association with humans and food.
Yeah,
Gut piles
or they're just like, what's
just
going on?
curious.
Like just
Yeah.
curious. Yeah. So I noticed that like really quickly. I'm like, the first thing on most of these cameras, like if there's a cat on it, it's gonna be like the first thing that's on there.
Huh.
It's really interesting.
Have you ever had the ethical issue of you got all these turkeys running around?
Uh-huh.
How do you view that it would influence your hunting activities?
Oh my God. I don't pay attention to it at all. Like I did so much turkey hunting before I got on this project that I like already had spots picked out and stuff on public to where, you know, it's far removed from anywhere we have turkeys tagged.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like no desire to go anywhere near those tagged turkeys.
Yep.
So yeah, I hunt the spots that I found, you know, way before I got involved. No insider trading.
Yep. I got a friend that worked on he's worked on some wolf collaring project.
Mhm.
He's a pilot.
Yeah.
He has no access to the data.
Mm.
But he's a pilot for the thing.
Uh-huh.
But he's also a wolf trapper.
Yeah.
And he says, man, I go the other direction.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't even have access, but just what people will say.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't, anything that happened when I worked on that, I go the
Mhm.
other way because just perception.
Yeah. And just for me,
Perception,
like I would be kind of bummed like if I shot a tom and it had a tag on it that I'm like, I could have tagged that
Yeah,
tom.
for sure.
Yeah.
You know
Yes.
what's puzzling is I've brought this up a bunch of times over the years that like would you shoot if you saw a collared whitetail, would you want to shoot a collared deer?
Being like where I am now, like actually involved in the kind of wildlife tagging business,
Yeah.
I would say I don't really have a desire. Like that would probably make me less likely to want to shoot that one.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know is you're not supposed to do that.
Yep.
For the science of it, but like I definitely am not more inclined to shoot a tagged animal.
Yeah. Which people bring up is like, why it's so coveted to get a tagged duck
Yeah.
or a tagged goose, but people don't want some collar on a deer.
Yeah.
It's like hard to explain, man, because I feel like the deer's been not corrupted, but he's lost his
Adulterated.
Yeah.
he's lost his
Yeah.
his wild juju, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You have the image in your head of someone like tackling this deer.
Yeah, it just feels like you're not like the first person on the scene, you know. There's
Yeah.
been some other person monkeying with
You
it.
know, like there's at least one bit of mystery in that deer's life that is like no more.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I know at least one thing that happened.
Yep. He got
to that
manhandled.
one.
Do you guys ever have with all your collaring projects or tagging projects, do you ever get a mortality and then or get whatever and go there and be like, someone shot this thing, like someone poached the turkey?
You know, I don't think we've had that issue yet.
Like it turns up. I remember talking to a guy that was in a collar or in a turkey. You don't call it collaring. What do you call it? Tagging? I don't know.
well, we use an unscientific term of transmittering.
Okay. Yeah. His transmitter turkey wound up in the middle of a wood stack,
Ooh.
missing its breast, missing its breast blades.
Yeah. There's a clue.
He went as far to breast it out.
Yeah, which
That
felt
one
very
you could
suspicious.
probably figure out what happened to it.
Yeah, they like buried it in their own wood pile.
Oh gosh.
The fan's gone, the beard's gone.
Yeah. What killed this guy? I wonder.
I feel like they were telling me that it was at that time. I feel like they were telling me it was glued onto it, glued into the feathers. Is that not right?
That's not right. If
You
that
didn't tell
happened,
me
that
that?
was not a good idea.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
I feel
you're
like they were
supposed to,
super gluing.
So
They were super gluing it into its feathers.
when was this? How long
When
ago?
did I have this conversation? Over 10 years ago.
I wonder.
He's still alive.
I don't know if
He's
that
still
was.
alive, for what it's worth.
I want to say that was never supposed to be the standard for
Okay.
for putting transmitters on. We do use super glue, but we use super glue. So we use marine shot cord.
What's that?
To make like it's kind of like it's almost like if a bungee and paracord made a baby.
I got you. No, I know what you're
So,
talking about.
yeah.
What do you
So-
call it? Marine?
Marine shot cord,
Oh.
just marine grade, so it can
Oh,
stand
I
up
saw-
to the
yeah,
weather
I
and
got you.
everything.
Yeah.
So we use that to make like the little backpack straps.
Yeah.
And then when we knot it, use like a surgical knot to tie it off. Then we'll put super glue on that knot. But we put like a piece of cardboard underneath so that none of the super glue gets on the feathers because you don't want that.
Understood.
And you do
yeah.
not want to glue the transmitter to the bird.
Well, this might have been the pioneering days of turkey.
Maybe. Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we got to this strategy because the old one
Yeah.
of super gluing them directly to the bird turned out to not be a great idea.
Yeah.
But
Might be
yeah.
abandoned now. So what's your like? Well, I want to get into your trapping business too.
Yeah.
But how's your career? How'd your career path go, and what happens to you next?
Yeah, so I always knew I was going to go into some kind of science and some kind of like biological science. I was always super interested in the outdoors and like insects and birds and all kinds of things. Like that was just always my jam. And so I knew when it came time to think about, okay, what kind of degree do I want to get? I was like, slam dunk, some kind of wildlife biology, environmental science, something like that.
Yeah.
So I graduated in December of 21 with a wildlife biology degree.
Okay.
Immediately went into a TA job for that program, which was just like a temporary thing. I went to NC State. There's a mandatory summer program for all of the wildlife biology folks. And it's 6 weeks in the field. You go and do like hands-on IDs and tagging and all kinds of stuff. It's super cool. So that was my first job out of undergrad, was that TA job. And then I moved to Kansas and found my way into the wildlife departments there. And that's when I got into the elk project.
And that's just like a salary job, full-time salary job.
This is hourly.
That was. Okay.
Yeah, most tech jobs are hourly. But it's like always just 40 hours. You just put in 40 hours a week.
Yeah. And that's what you're still doing now.
Yes.
And then what happens next?
Ideally, I would absolutely love to turn trapping somehow into a full-time business
Got it.
of like trapping, fur handling, taxidermy, at least like I've tried to dabble in like actual mounts and stuff. I still have a lot to learn there, but I had a dermestid colony. I just moved really recently, so I don't have it set up again yet, but I had a dermestid colony, and that was like a really good kind of side gig to run, was skull cleaning.
Sure. Yeah.
And for my own skulls that I got from trapping and everything, I sell all those. So I would just, run them through the beetles and sell those.
And you don't
and
have
it's-
it now?
No, I got to get it started back up again. I don't have like a great place to set up. You know how they smell.
Oh my God.
The dermestid colonies. So
It's
I'm like,
nothing. It's like nothing you've ever smelled.
yeah,
man.
yeah.
There's
And
probably like little tricks you can do.
oh yeah.
But
if
I've
you
been to
have-
some that are
so-
just horrific.
Yeah,
man.
if you have like the right ventilation system, that's the biggest thing. Like you have to have it really well
Yeah,
ventilated.
but they create their own kind of funk, man.
Yes, and God forbid you get flies in it.
Oh.
Somehow the beetles don't smell that bad if you have them ventilated right. But if maggots get in there, I don't know what it is about a maggot they just smell so much worse.
Yeah.
And
well, they probably come in on people's bringing in maggoty stuff.
That's the problem. And like, you can't really kill a like you can freeze the skulls like indefinitely, and it feels like the second you thaw it, the maggots still just pop out. Like, it just doesn't kill them. So yeah, you got to be careful about like not leaving skulls out where they're gonna get flies on them, and you got to be careful about the because I took in a skull at some point that had been left out where it got maggots in it, and it just destroyed the colony.
Got it. Oh, like, really? That was it?
I mean, you just got you just got to ditch it and start fresh.
You have to kill all those thousands of lives.
Yeah.
Let's say I got a hypothetical for you. Let's say you're at MeatEater trivia,
and
the answer to the question is dermested.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and someone, and you're the judge, and someone writes dermifted. Would you give it to him?
Dermifted. I probably would.
It's a good thing you're not the judge then.
Dude, now I got to revisit.
There's like what else? What else could you be going for, right?
Exactly my point.
Yeah, I'm guessing that you said dermifted.
That was me, and I did not get it.
You're asking for a friend.
Did not get it.
Yeah, that's I call bullshit on that one.
You're changing your answer?
No.
Oh,
I call bullshit on not giving it to you.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, so get me to how'd you get into trapping?
So
because there's not a lot of young trappers.
No.
And there's not a lot of female trappers.
Yes, and not a lot of first generation trappers.
Yeah. I remember a startling statistic from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I never looked to see if it's true, but the guy that told me would know. He's like, he was telling me that, and this is some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He said every year, the average age of a trapper in Michigan goes up
by a year.
Yeah. Like, the more you think about that, dude, it's like stunning.
Yes.
You
Yeah. So I just like never really hit a limit with what I want to do in the outdoors. Like, I've taught myself pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Lake, where, you know, my dad was like a casual deer hunter, but really into fishing, and my mom as well. So I grew up fishing a ton, and I was just obsessed with it.
Okay.
And my dad would go out, you know, a couple times a season, go walk around. He literally would just go for a hike with a gun and just hope he bumped into something.
Yeah, like deer hunting.
Yeah. So he didn't get his first deer until I was I want to say I was like 6 or something. And my mom like wouldn't let me go anywhere. She's like, don't look. I don't want it, like, keep the meat away. Like, I don't want her seeing this.
She thought it traumatized you.
Yeah.
Wrong, right?
She herself was kind of like, I don't like this. But yeah, the more and more I got into fishing, the more I was like, I just wanted something else. And the natural next step was like, oh, you know, what about hunting? And my dad's like, I don't know. Kind of same with you in the turkey hunting. Like, my dad's like, I don't know what I'm doing. So he took me to an outfitter, got my first deer. He was like super nervous that I was going to be turned off when I shot my first deer. I was going to have like a emotional breakdown or something, but I was so stoked. I shot 2 on my first hunt, the last like afternoon after sitting in like cold rain the whole time.
Where did he take you to go on a guided deer hunt?
Northeastern North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was actually born in New Jersey, lived there until I was 6. So we fished a lot up north, did a lot of fishing up in like upstate New York and stuff, just worm and bobber.
Yep.
Moved down to North Carolina, and we could not get on fish to save our lives. Like, we could not catch a thing.
Like, your old tricks weren't working.
No. I mean, there was no trick. Like, up north, I mean, we would just take any kind of live bait and chuck it in there, and you'd catch like a nice smallie or yellow perch or something. Like, there was just nothing to it.
Got it.
And yeah, get down to North Carolina, it's this like muddy ass water. We're like sitting there with like minnows and stuff. We're like, why can't we catch anything? And everybody was kind of giving up. Like, my parents were like not interested anymore. My dad's like, I think I'm going to sell the boat. And I was like, this can't happen. Like, I just loved it so much. And so I was like, I got to figure this out. And that's when I got into bass fishing, because I was like researching, you know, what kind of fishing is good around here, and largemouth bass. So then I started learning how to fish artificial, learned how to use a bait caster, and ended up getting really into that. And then that was what led me into, like, when I got super into bass fishing, I was like, there's got to be something I can do, you know, in the winter when like bass fishing's not like super fun. I know someone might be making a face at that because there are a lot of people that fish bass in the winter out there and think it's amazing.
Yeah.
But
There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can say that someone's not going to not going to disagree.
But
with.
for me, I was like, I loved fishing like the weed beds in the summer. That was my thing, and I'm like, I want something to do in the winter, fall and winter. So it just seemed like if I like fishing so much, I probably will like hunting. And so got into hunting. And then when I kind of got my feet under myself with hunting, then I started to find myself being like, okay, but what about like after deer season and before turkey season?
The February problem.
Yes, exactly. I'm sitting there like, I can go shed hunting, go just hike around. I'm like, it's just not really scratching that itch for me.
Yeah.
And I actually watched the beaver trapping episode, the Wyoming beaver trapping episode, and I was like,
Well, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. I was like, I wonder. And this creek bottom that I had been hunting on public for deer for several years, this beautiful swamp bottom full of beavers. And I was like, that seems like a very easy like first step is like just trying to snare a beaver in that creek. I'm like, I know it like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
Like I can get in, get out pretty easily. Snares are like a super straightforward thing to use. They were legal there, only for beaver, but yeah, so I went in beginning of January, and this was in 2021. I went in, made all my sets. 2 nights later, got my first beaver
With a snare.
And it was just like, it just clicked. I was like, this is it. Like, this is the thing. It just felt so natural, and so like it was like a kind of a puzzle that hunting doesn't really give you.
Yep.
And it was like exactly what I'd been craving. So I went so hard that season. I think I ended up getting 11 beavers out of that little creek bottom. I got a couple otter, which was
really?
awesome.
And snares?
No, so you're not allowed to use snares for otters there.
Okay.
I started using 330s after I got kind of confident with,
Yep.
because at first when I was looking at a 330, I was like, oh, that's terrifying. Like my
It's a good
arm's
way
going
to
to come
break your
off.
wrist.
Yeah. So once I got a little more comfortable, I got some 330s and I put those out. And so I got a couple otter. And then kind of towards the end of the season, I started trying raccoon too, because there's so many raccoons, any creek bottom's full of
What'd you do with your
raccoons,
otters?
I just skinned them out. I actually have all of I've only gotten 3 otters because, that place was stacked with them. Kansas is not.
Yeah.
So I wasn't in North Carolina very long before I moved to Kansas, and I only got 3, and I just love otters so much. I'm like, I couldn't let go of them. So I have all 3 of those pelts up on my wall.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then now you got in like pretty sophisticated like bobcats and stuff.
Yes.
Like top tier trapping.
Yes, which is amazing. That was like super unexpected to me. I mean, I knew everyone always says like if you can catch a coyote, you can catch a cat. Like cats are just so much more confident and so much more predictable, really.
And so much more, not as many of them running around.
Well, yes, that is, yeah. So like I'm always getting more numbers of coyotes than cats, like if I'm running a pretty even line. But like if I find a cat track, it's like I'm gonna get that cat. Like you can just be so much more confident if you have the right equipment.
Within how many nights? You find a cat track in Kansas. Within how many nights you're gonna have them?
Oh, that's tough. I would say within a week, because they do kind of run. They usually run kind of a loop within their territory. Same with coyotes. So like if I see like super fresh sign, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm like a little bit behind here, and it's gonna take 4 or 5 nights before that cat comes back around.
Yeah, but he's gonna come and walk in that spot.
Yep. He's going to come right back through there, and he is going to clue in on any kind of new smell, anything in there. And yeah. And like you can put out, cats are one of the few things that you can like just drop a cage right there, and they're just like, looks good to me, and just walk right in.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like even when the cage closes on them, they're like, oh well, and they'll just eat the rest of the
Eat
bait.
the bait and hang out.
And they'll just lay down. Yeah.
So were you selling your bobcats this year?
So
on the open market, or do you everything you sell yourself to your own customers?
No, so if I get like a really, really nice cat, I prefer to sell them frozen whole.
To taxidermy
trade.
And they care about whether it's nice.
Yes. They care about the spotting. That's really the big thing. So it's not really the length of the fur when you're
Okay.
selling to taxidermy market. It's the pattern and the coloration.
They want nice spots.
They want nice
Not
spots.
just the belly, but the body.
The body. Yeah. Like you can have a super plain belly, but if it's got like awesome spots and like the rosettes and stuff down its sides and its back, like that's because they want something that's going to be, they're usually buying these to make competition mounts. And so they want something that's like really striking, like super eye catching.
Yeah.
And even like kittens, a lot of times like kittens are really hot on the market.
What?
Yeah. If like they'll sell so fast and you can get a decent chunk of change for them because it's like if you can get a kitten mount like really, really nice, super realistic, it's so good in a competition.
You know, when I was growing up, the worst thing you could do to an otter is touch it with a knife.
Yeah.
The taxidermy trade was
Yep.
hot for them.
Yeah. It still is.
And it'd be like, it'd be way more money.
Yep. Yeah.
It wasn't even like, it was a completely separate deal.
Yeah.
Did you have that? Like, did you sell stuff, Seth, to taxidermy?
I never did, no, but I knew people who did. Like, every once in a while, someone would catch like a black coyote or a black red fox.
Yep.
Those typically went to taxidermy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. You put all that work into, like, you can put all that work into an otter.
Yep.
Flesh it, stretch it.
Yep.
$25.
It's worth more
or you
just
could
on the round.
Freeze it and bring it to a taxidermist, $100.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's without calling around.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like, they don't even know. I never got, with the internet, you could probably get pretty targeted.
Yeah, Facebook, there's
Find
all
the guy
kinds
that really
of
wants it.
Yeah, there's all kinds of trapper to taxiderms. You can start like a bidding war for like if you get something really awesome and you put it in one of these like trapper to taxidermist Facebook groups.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, you could start a bidding war on some of that stuff.
So do you sell anything into the trade, like into the normal market trade?
No, I don't. I've
So
never
you're
sold to a
divorced from
fur
the
bu-
market.
Yeah, I do my own thing. I get everything dried, sent off to the tannery, and I sell it at my Etsy store.
What tannery do you use?
Sleepy Creek
Oh, I
in
don't know that
Iowa.
one. Oh.
They're kind of new, but they do a fantastic job and really good pricing.
Do you ever use Moyle Mink and Tannery?
I haven't.
Yeah,
I went
send
right
our
to
stuff
Sleepy
there.
Creek
Okay.
because they have very, very competitive pricing, and I like that.
All right, good.
I'm in it for the profit margins.
Yeah, so everything you catch, you sell wall hangers, skulls.
Yep.
And you have enough of an outlet where you never get excess that you got to go dump into the market.
Nope. No. Yeah, because I'm trapping all on public. I'm doing it in my very limited free time outside of work.
Yeah.
So I can only run like a dozen sets at a time.
That's still fun as hell. Though,
So
man.
much fun.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Yeah, so much fun. And so every catch to me is like it's a big deal. And I don't usually get into if I get into double digits on any one species, that's like a really solid year. So it's nothing I can't handle myself.
So even right now, like the way cat prices got kind of crazy this year, and some people think that they overbought. I don't know why.
Yeah.
For some weird ass reason, I follow fur markets very closely.
Well, it's
I'll never
really
understand why.
interesting. There's
It's like
so
a
much
hobby.
nuance. Yeah.
It's a hobby of mine.
It's like the stock market.
Yeah, well, no, I can see that. 'Cause you could make, there's like a relevance argument to the stock market, but for me to follow fur prices, it's just like it makes 0 sense. I'm just into it. Anyways, there's suspicion that people overbought
Yeah, I
or
can
like
see that.
overpaid on
Yeah,
cats.
I can
But
see
cats
that.
got crazy.
Yeah.
So, but even then, you can still do better. I don't want you to give all your trade secrets. You can even with crazy cat prices, you can still do better not selling in the cat market.
I would say if you're not in one of like the high desert kind of states
Oh,
where they have like that crazy long fur, big white belly, nice spots, like Kansas cats, were like a little too far east.
they're
to
like a
have,
middle
like,
tier cat.
Yeah, but amazing spots on a lot of them. Like whenever someone says, "Oh, the cats here aren't spotted like that," that's bullshit because they're out there. Like it might be different percentages of ones that are super spotted, but like everywhere has spotted cats in there.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why I know that for certain is running this statewide camera survey.
Oh,
The number of just like unbelievably spotted cats that I'm seeing on these cameras, like it's a pretty even mix of like the really like sandy kind of plain ones
Yep.
and super spotted ones. And like almost everyone I talk to, like when I catch a super spotted cat, they're like, oh man, that's crazy for around here. Like we don't get them like that. And I'm like, they're there. Yeah,
God,
they're
this is
there.
making me just irritated, man.
Yeah.
When I get buried in Twin Lake Cemetery, my grave's gonna say, he should have been a cat trapper.
It's not too late. They're straightforward. If you can find,
I've got
yeah.
a couple, but I mean like really just doing it all the time, all day.
Yeah. Oh god, I am pretty jealous of like the high desert trappers that are just like it hits that certain date of the season and they get up in the mountains and they don't come down for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
With like a whole truckload of just beautiful like $800 cats. But yeah, for me, like
You've got some nice looking cats
I know,
on
but those are-
Old Trapper Kate.
Yeah.
Man,
I know I feel very fortunate to have gotten the ones that I have. They're beautiful, but those are taxidermy market cats. Those are not fur market cats. I don't think I haven't gotten one yet that I was like, oh, that would do really well in the fur market. They just don't have the belly for it.
So tell people how do they go find your market?
Oh yeah, so I'm on Etsy. Little Shop of Furs is my shop name.
So cute.
Yeah.
Old Trapper Kate's Little Shop of Furs.
There you go.
And you got nothing, like no sewn goods.
I do sometimes.
Okay.
I've just kind of fallen behind in that. Since I started the turkey project, it's a lot to keep up with. So I haven't done quite as much like pillow making and stuff. But I do have many unfinished pillows that once this summer season kind of dies down a little bit, I'm gonna get and once my furs come back from this season, because I have a big shipment that needs to go out. I have 2 more beaver pelts to flesh, and I want to send it out all in one shot. So I'm waiting.
So you're gonna do some more beaver pillows and stuff, yeah,
for sure, yeah. And I'm torn because I do want to make myself a blanket, and so I'm not sure how many beavers I want to give up.
Have you seen me and Seth's beaver blankets?
I haven't seen. I've seen pictures.
Oh,
but yeah.
My most favorite thing I own, I think.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my wife is like largely indifferent. I mean, when I'm gone hunting, she doesn't know where I'm at or what I'm hunting for, kind of things, you know. Largely indifferent. But the beaver blanket, that she's like, that is badass. Yeah. Like all the things, anything I've ever brought home. And I just got her a full muskrat bomber jacket, which I got her at the end of the season, but she likes it. But like the beaver blanket, she's like work of art. Yeah. You know, loves it.
Just loves amazing.
It's the one thing I never have to, because otherwise she'll take my stuff and like put it somewhere.
Yeah, squirrel it away.
But she just squares the beaver blanket out and lays it out.
That's awesome.
No, it was a good call. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Is it like
how many did we put? Because me and Seth had 50 beavers.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Was that 1 year?
Well, I don't know. It was during COVID, man. We were
just cranking on them.
You guys hung
We got
out.
a lot of beavers during COVID.
It might have been like a fall. It might have been like
No.
I wish the pandemic.
It was
come back.
amazing.
Yeah,
Dude,
exactly.
I was
It was like
so
2 years of like hunkering down.
Yeah,
again.
so I was still in school at the time, and all the classes went online. And I'm like, I cannot sit in front of my dude. I would take my phone because I'm like, I have to just like be in the Zoom call. Like I can't just be not there all the time. But I would put it on Zoom on my phone and tuck my phone into my waders. And I'd just be out there beaver trapping the whole time while my lecture's going. And they'd like kick us into like little groups to do some kind of little like side assignment. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm a little indisposed right now. You're gonna have to do this by yourselves.
Yeah, it was all the bad parts notwithstanding, there were aspects of it of like a lot of camping, a lot of beaver trapping.
Yeah.
Anyways, we had 50, and we like kept some premier ones. Had those 2 blankets made, and still had a lot left over. And those are big blankets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many went into one.
Oh, I want to
That was
say.
going to be my question: is
I
what's
wanna-
the beaver amount per
Well,
blanket?
Well,
it
I
depends
can
on
tell
the
you on this
size of
one.
the blanket, obviously.
Yeah.
Sorry, do you guys have like throw blankets, or is it like a
No,
comforter?
they're full blankets.
Full comforter.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. They're 6 feet by 6 by 5, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're big.
Yeah.
6 by 6.
And they're like it's like strips.
He let them all
Oh,
out. You know what that
okay.
means? When you let them out,
No.
you cut them. you cut them so that one beaver makes a big long piece.
Gotcha.
And then
okay.
there's literally miles.
Wow.
There's miles of thread.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Wow.
You like cut it like
Because you have less
corn
seams.
and apple kind of a thing?
No, it's
You're
like you.
saying one beaver-
He'd explain it to you on the phone.
Interesting.
I was doing one of those things that I
That's
try
what I
not to
was
do.
like- Yeah,
do
like you go in like a
yeah,
spiral.
right.
Mic.
Do you spiral it?
Microphone.
Do you spiral it?
He told me, and I did the thing I don't like to do, where I acted like I understood.
Oh.
Damn, this would have been a good
Oh.
opportunity to not do that.
You've been
Just
doing
this
so
one
well.
thing.
And I was like, and in my mind, I'm like, I can't picture it. It's a common thing in furs. What it does is it's very labor intensive,
Mhm.
but you take a wide fur and it makes it that you then sew it together and it gives you a big long strip.
Oh, so you are sewing it
You're making
together.
these like
gosh.
you're
I
making like
see.
a type of panel.
I see.
Yeah.
And the panels are very long and homogeneous.
Mm.
So you wind up with these long homogeneous panels.
Okay.
So then you can line the furs out, and
Yeah.
let's say they're not uniform. Like every animal's, they're
Yeah.
all different.
Uh-huh.
But you kind of you arrange them where maybe there's like a reddish.
Yeah.
You take your
You kind
reddish
of mesh
ones,
the color gradient.
and
Yeah.
the reddish are on the edge, and it has a gradual
Mhm.
fade
Okay.
to
Yeah.
a dark, and then it'll gradually fade the other way.
Yep.
I think if they were all exactly the same, like that's the thing with ranch mink. Why ranch mink became a thing is like every mink's huge and every
Yeah.
mink's the
The
same,
Okay.
and you don't have the variability to deal with.
Mhm.
But it's a way to like make big long panels that are homogeneously colored.
But
Yeah.
those individual panels are stitched quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he
Right.
told me, and I'll say who did it. He did a beautiful job. He's not looking for work. Don't even bother calling him. Clifford's Critter Creations,
Right,
Don
that's right,
Clifford.
Mm.
Not
Okay.
looking for work.
Okay.
You have to beg him. Call him, beg him if you want. He's doing. Oh man, I shouldn't have said it. My next
Phil,
thing is
cut that
I'm doing a raccoon, full raccoon
Nice.
blanket, and I'm doing
Raccoon
a full
is
coyote
so
blanket.
underrated.
He wants 18.
Oh, okay.
He wants 18 good ones.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that would be
Same
so
size.
easy in Kansas. I'm sure how's the raccoon
easy
population?
anywhere.
Yeah, I was
It's
going to
easy
say it's probably
anywhere,
easy here
but
too.
The problem is the bottleneck is Don sewing 3 miles of thread together.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
was going to
catching the
say
raccoons.
I don't have a machine. I do it all by hand. So the concept of a blanket is intimidating, but I do really want to do it.
You know who you should be buddies with? Are you
Who?
buddies at all with Heather Duville?
No, so I've never actually interacted with her,
No.
but super interested.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
she
she's
does-
like
yeah.
right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, she's working with like coastal northern stuff.
Oh my gosh,
different
yeah.
critters, but you
Oh,
guys should talk shop.
I'm looking at her power washing setup like, oh, please. I
Yeah.
wish.
No, you guys should talk a little shop.
Yeah, I don't think my neighbors would appreciate me blowing a bunch of beaver fat
Yeah.
out all over the.
Well, she's gotten very sophisticated about the
I
sewing.
know.
So she
Yeah.
used to sew needle and thread
Yeah.
and got with the machines
Yeah.
and like is
Mhm.
like has gotten
Stretching
sophisticated
everything
about the sewing.
elsewhere. Yeah. I need to get. I definitely would not describe myself as a sophisticated fur handler.
Yeah. Sophisticated trapper.
Yeah, I mean, I got to think about it. I'm like, man, I only started it in 21, so I'm only 4 years in of like completely self-taught, and there's so much to learn.
Oh, it's bottomless
So
pit.
much. Yeah.
It's the most. It's the most bottomless pit.
Yeah. Arguably, yes.
It's the hardest part.
There's constantly new techniques coming out,
Oh my, yeah, and between
And
like
new-
the actual
new
like
tools, and
between like the actual like trapping and then the fur handling and the tanning, and I tried to do tanning myself, and that took a little bit too much apparatus to get everything actually broken
Yeah.
the way that it needed to be.
Yeah, you
So-
can't scratch the surface.
God no. So yeah, so I started sending to a tannery.
Okay. So the little fur shop
Mm-hmm.
on Etsy.
Little Shop of Furs on Etsy.
Little
yes.
Shop of Furs
and
on
it
Etsy.
is quite dry right now, but
Like you're low on product.
low on product because I don't have my dermastids, and I'm waiting. I sold out pretty much all of the furs from last season, and I'm waiting on the next round to be back from the tannery. So I'm gonna get to work when I settle down from this summer
Good luck.
turkey season.
Thanks for coming
and
on.
we'll get into it. Yeah, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me.
Yeah, and hope when you get your fur shop refilled, it empties back out again.
Yes,
All right.
hope so.
Maggie, what are you working on that people are going to be most excited about for journalism type stuff?
most excited about? I think mostly we're just trying to stay on top of all the crazy policy stuff that's happening. It seems like, there's a new executive order every other day.
It's impossible to follow.
And
Well, hard to follow.
it's difficult. And, things are getting snuck into the budget bills, like selling off public lands in Nevada and Utah in the dark of night. There's just shady shit going on right now, and we're doing our best to stay on top of it and to get it out to the audience so everybody else can stay on top of it, call their representatives, make a fuss, because that's pretty much the only way we're going to keep our public land secure and our wildlife protected and all of that. So, it might not be the most exciting stuff to read, but I think it's the most important stuff
So
to
you've
read
been putting a
right
lot of
now.
energy into that, just trying to track it.
Yeah.
If people followed like how dizzying it was to follow the tariff situation, just like how rapidly evolving and continues to be. Like if you imagine with the wildlife world and the public lands world, it's been as chaotic, as hard to follow.
And Pat
It's just
Durkin,
a really rapidly changing environment.
Pat
man.
Durkin just wrote an article about how tariffs are impacting hunters and anglers because it's impacting everyone in every which way. But yeah, it's to the point you made. I mean, it's happening so fast, and there's so much happening all at once. Like there's these water monitoring stations from the USGS that now have to be shut down this summer all across the country. The USGS doesn't totally understand like what's going on with that, how that's going to affect smaller, water monitoring stations on individual rivers. It's just there are so many changes that are happening without too much public comment, too much, is this a good idea? They're just being written in and we're going from there. So trying to stay informed is really important right now.
Yeah, it is. One of the things that I've liked least is the sense that a lot of the management decisions aren't coming from the agency heads and the people that are familiar with the policy. And so it has some of it winds up having a kind of ham-handed, machete-like quality to it and that's why you see things get reversed.
Like the federal firings.
Yeah.
That happened too high up. There was no good reason all those people should have been fired. So
And then there's people that are like, dude, if you made it easier for me to get rid of people, I got a big list of people I'd get rid of. But my hands are tied. And talk to me about cuts.
Yeah, it's just
at the
these,
local level, because I know
strokes.
I know where the problems are, and you're not hitting the problem right. Yeah, that's been frustrating.
And that's happening, with Jordan wrote an article about this. I think it was Jordan. But the zero-based budgeting for environmental policy, it's looking at all of these things like the Migratory Bird Act, the Clean Water Act, and it's going through that and saying that we need to look into everything that carries these acts out, and they have to be, you can either keep them going for 5 years or we have to totally overhaul things. And it's like, I think it's asking to do too much at one time. Like, look at where there's issues, look at individual agencies, ask them to pinpoint where there are things that need to be fixed. Not just say, here's this whole list of everything. Let's swipe this down and start from zero. Because a lot of those acts were made for a reason.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, what happened? Wow.
Uh-oh. You're
Wow,
never going to hear the
even-
end of that.
Corinne.
Even if my phone's on silent,
Dirty dog.
the alarm still goes off.
Oh, that's
Darn,
hilarious.
sorry about that.
It's like, I don't want to beat a dead horse in this one. Well, it's not a dead horse; it's a living horse. You
It
look
might
at,
have a busted leg.
Yeah, I was
But
going to say,
but I
it's
mean,
a little gimpy,
like
but it's there.
if you look at how sort of like expertly expertly executed things around the border were, and how like quick and sort of like, wow, how'd that not happen a long time ago, right? It's certain other things that have happened with the administration has been like where it feels like expert, right, and motivated and expert. I just think a lot of things around the land management agency just hasn't felt like it's coming from the most educated perspective, and like really, I wish things were happening at a level where you had reform-minded insiders that were doing things in a slower, more thought out way. Because I think we're going to do things and then we're going to realize that we've made big, costly mistakes, especially around a lot of fisheries management issues and other things where you're going to do a thing and then a couple of years are going to go by and you've made like a very expensive mistake.
Yeah.
And then need to throw money at it because you're killing industries, and costs and jobs.
100%.
Now stay on it. Stay on it.
Working on it. Trying hard. I've been getting
fighting the
articles
good
sent
fight.
into me while I was sitting here. I got some, we were talking about the turkey in the graveyard earlier. I just had a writer send me one in. This guy got pulled over, had a live turkey in the back of his car.
Oh.
It was wounded. He shot it, but he was driving around with a live turkey in the trunk of his car.
Did he know
Well,
that it
Corinne and I talked about this yesterday. But it was a different
resurrected?
person. Oh.
Because I've seen before where like a deer got hit by a car and they loaded it up and it was just like knocked out and then it stands up in the bed.
Oh, no, we've had that. I had that when I was a kid happen to us. Yeah.
No, because this guy got pulled over like the next day, I think. I was just quickly reading this
He had shot
up.
it.
Yeah,
And kept it.
he had a turkey and a squirrel in the back. And then
Was the squirrel alive?
What a spread.
from my understanding, the squirrel looks pretty dead in the picture. Turkey, you can tell the turkey's alive. It's looking at you.
Interesting.
Oh.
And then, so he gets a ticket, and then he gets pulled over like the next day or something, driving a different truck, and he's got 2 dead turkeys, still no license or nothing, that he shot with a 22,
Buddy.
which it's illegal to hunt turkeys with a 22
Yep.
in his state. So
Was he cemetery hunting?
haven't heard anything
Was it old
about
church
that.
or was it cemetery?
I was reading about the cemetery, and it was right next to an old church. So
Every time,
my
I'm
God.
telling you.
double whammy there.
I'm giving out one of my best tips on here. But I'm telling you, it holds true.
Spot burning. Spot burning the whole
I
country.
recently came across an Instagram account. This dude, I think he's a fishing guide up in like Washington or something, but he has a pet turkey he takes in the boat with him.
Oh,
I saw a video. He was halibut fishing, and he pans over, and his turkey's like in the boat gobbling, and
That's
he's like reeling up
adorable.
a halibut. It was like the
Oh my
coolest thing.
God,
I
wow.
ever.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
That
go
is
way
adorable.
back in our archive, we have a episode called "The Bronze Back and the Wiffle Ball Bat,"
Uh-oh.
Oh,
and
that
it was an
before my
expert
time.
turkey caller named Guy Zuck, and he grew up with a turkey, and he would call that turkey in, and then he'd whap it with a wiffle ball bat
a wiffle ball bat?
to disincentivize it from coming in.
Oh.
And then he'd call it in again because he was like,
Wow.
he wanted it to be like getting tricked is bad.
Yeah.
Not hard.
Okay. I
He just alarm it. Well, it's
Just
his
like
pet
a
turkey.
rolled up
Okay.
newspaper
It was
on the nose.
Yeah, like his pet turkey.
Okay.
He
Okay,
wanted it to
that
be that,
makes
like,
sense.
he wanted it to be not wanting to get duped.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's how
just
he
hard
learned to
enough,
call.
but not-
10-4.
That was his version of
He
putting
explains
a
the whole
hunter
process.
orange
Yeah.
He explains
collar
the
on a
whole
pet deer.
process. Yeah. Like, if you know, I don't know. In the old days, when your dog did something bad, you'd give it a little,
Yeah. Yeah.
Little whap.
I'm not trying to hurt it, but the dog's like, yeast. All right, not gonna do that again.
I spaced out. I thought you meant
Not
he
Doug's
was like
dog.
hunting the turkey with a wiffle bat. I was like, that's gonna take a lot of
Yeah,
force.
I
would
was gonna
hide.
say
Like
I
another
can't even be
confession.
mad about
Let me
that.
put it this way: he'd hide, call it in, and then scare the hell out of it. So that a while later, when he called in, the turkey's like a hunted turkey. He's like, "Man, I don't want. I want to go over there. I mean, there's turkeys over there. But what I don't want is for that to be the
Wiffle
guy,
ball
that guy in the
the
bush
guy
with
with
the
the
bat.
bat." And that's how he became really good at calling turkeys because he kept fooling that bronze bat, who was paranoid.
Wow.
Oh, so he wasn't trying to keep the turkey safe from other hunters. He was trying to make a challenge for
He
himself.
was trying to make it challenging.
Oh. Oh.
He's trying to make it shine. Like if I went out, I could go out. Like you could probably, if you had a handful of corn, and every time you called, you gave that turkey a handful of corn, he's going to become real easy to call in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you hit him with a bat,
Yeah.
a love tap with a wiffle ball bat, he's going to get tough.
Yeah. Like the same scenario if a turkey gets missed a couple times
Yeah.
in actuality.
That's bat biology.
He hears it and he's like, not this time.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going over there, man. So like that. Thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Appreciate everybody coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Listen to Lake's podcast.
listen to
Yes.
Lake's podcast.
Yeah, please
Out
do.
today because this episode will drop on
June 9th.
He is going to be the missing link between biology and policy and human dimensions.
Oh wow.
I appreciate
Oh,
a little
wow.
confidence.
No
Yeah.
pressure.
If you can go on and leave a little review, that might be nice.
Yeah, type that in on Apple. Yeah.
That's a t-shirt right there.
There you go.
All right, thanks everybody.